This is Football Manager's Independence Day. Welcome to American FM. The city of Cleveland, known to many here as the Sixth City and to many others outside as the Mistake on the Lake. From the home of John D. Rockefeller to a city of bankruptcy, the city of Cleveland has enjoyed many different lives over the past century, but a big parallel to that has been the history of their sports franchises. The city seems to rise and fall with the success of these teams, and the three major ones have been a staple of the city. From past successes to falls as the city itself fell, home to some of the greatest to ever grace the games that they played in. The three major franchises have won the hearts of the hundreds of thousands in the city's walls. They are actually grateful to have all three of their major sports franchises hold a title of some sort. The year 2016 saw a major shift in what many saw was a transition from the punchline of many people's jokes to the center of the sports world, as everyone seemed to be winning in the city of Cleveland. Hell, even Donald Trump was winning in 2016 in Cleveland, but we're not going to go into that. LeBron James led the team to its first ever NBA championship and the first title in the city since 1964, and the Indians coming within one run of becoming World Series champions and ending a streak that can only be outdone by the team that actually beat them, the Chicago Cubs. But now it is time for a new challenger to enter the fray in the city of Cleveland. Something else needs to take hold, a more international flavor. And now, it finally has it. Welcome to Cleveland SC. Hey there guys, how's it going? Stanky here. Good morning, afternoon, evening, and night to you all, and welcome to American FM. Now, to all my fellow Americans who most likely don't know the game, I'm under the assumption that I'm the only person in America to play this game. This is Football Manager, more specifically Football Manager 18. It's a game by Sports Interactive, and it is basically a soccer spreadsheet. Or, to all my foreign viewers, a football spreadsheet. Now, as a data analyst major, I find this to be incredibly fun and almost like something that I would want to do in the future. But to most other people, this is boring. This is basically like looking at Excel all day. However, I feel like my job is almost like looking at Excel all day, my future job, or something of that nature. So this seems fun to me. So anyway, this is Cleveland FC, and as you can see, my manager, Sammy Stank, has come over here and been hired as a new manager of this up-and-coming football dynasty. And you may see here, US 7. We are in the American 7th Division, and if you think, wait a minute, Stanky, that does not exist, does it? No, it does not. And, you know, that is great of you to notice, but in fact there is a new there's a database for this. I'm not sure exactly who the user is. I forget the name, crossed my mind, but there's a database on Steam that actually has a Pro-Rel USA system, and since America is stupid, they decided that the MLS is the only true league, and you know that only the people who register for the MLS are really matter in American soccer, which to me doesn't really make sense in the grand scheme of soccer. Again, it's stupid, and I think that if it's going to be soccer, you might as well have a pro-rel system. I think every other sport, I mean, it's fine that you have the one league, the major cities compete in it. That's fine; those are American sports. But in an international sport such as soccer, and in an era where American soccer has the most potential to ever have, and yet is the most disappointing piece of crap I've ever seen in terms of losing to Trinidad and Tobago in October, when you have a wonder kid on your team in Christian Pulisic, and plenty of guys who are veterans of the game, and yet we could not make a World Cup. The the fact that America wasn't in that World Cup is a travesty, and the fact that we are hosting a World Cup in 8 years, and yet we can't get our own team to the World Cup, doesn't make sense to me. And that should change, and I think in order for that to change, we need a pro-rel system. We need something to, get the people of the world coming to America and knowing that this is true soccer, true football. I mean, many people say, oh, but this is America. America doesn't need that pro-rel system or whatever. To me, it's almost a better story, an almost more American dream story. For a team like Greenbrier Rebels or Rhode Island Oceaneers to make a run to like the second or third tier of American football. I mean, you look at the second division, I can go to it here. These are teams that people even recognize in bigger cities, like the New York Cosmos. These are actually like an actual team that people have actually, they've won various titles or won various seasons and stuff like that. And Cincinnati is actually has one of the larger stadiums in pro soccer in the Americas. Puerto Rico, a team that I might consider doing for another series, for Puerto Rico, just as a pray for Puerto Rico type thing. I would like to see them go into an actual MLS system, but they don't. And to me, that's a shame, because you have such a great legacy or such a great history behind us, but we also have the greatest potential of any nation in the world, as we are, a nation that when we put our mind to a sport, we seem to be good at. We need to get that on soccer, and we have the ability and the people to make it possible, and yet we can't seem to get past the fact that there are, in fact, traditions of the game such as pro-rel systems. And so, and the people who bitch about tanking, like, this is the greatest defense against tanking. You can't tank, otherwise you go down. And you lose a bunch of money. It's like, look at any team that goes to the championship from the Premier League. They lose tens of millions of dollars in revenue that they have to get back to the Premier League to recover. The Premier League is a big ticket item. It's better to be mid-table in the Premier League than to be top of the championship. And that's just the way it is. Anyway, we're under the assumption that America came to its senses and now is a 7-tier system. So, we now have Cleveland SC, which I had a logo for, but the create a club thing has been very off the fritz. If you can let me know in the comments how to fix the logos, like, while still having the save, let me know. But, yeah. This is more of a test run for me. So anyway, create a club, Cleveland SC. If the logo's there, I might put it up right there. I did get the jerseys managed to stay around, which is good. You see my manager, and you see our key player, Antonio Menfoot. We'll get to him later. The park I propose to play at. Disregard the fact that it says Staten Island. Of course, I replaced a team that was from Staten Island. And, again, database or create a club. I don't know how that kept there, but whatever. Edgewater Park. I put it as 5,000 seats. I believe it was 4,500 seats, like a seater. So there's a little standing room only area. But Edgewater Park, if you're from Cleveland, you'll have an idea of Edgewater Park. And so here's Cleveland. And if you zoom in over here, a little on the west side of Cleveland, you will see Edgewater Park. And it's actually a, spruced up park. Used to be kind of a shithole, if you remember back in Cleveland. But it was bought by the Metro Parks, and they spruced it up, and it is now one of the nicer spots on the west side of Cleveland. And now you think, wait a minute, you're going to take this park, and you're going to just destroy all of it and put a stadium. And I said, no, I'm not an idiot. This is actually a good park. I've never been there yet, but I've driven past it. It looks nice. I've seen the amphitheater and all that. It looks great. So, I've named it Edgewater Park, and I'm basically making an extension of Edgewater Park. But I'm moving it to Whiskey Island, which I don't know the history of Whiskey Island as much, but it's right. I'm going to put it here in Wendy Park. Now, I'm not going to call it Wendy Park because, to me, Edgewater Park has a lot more history involved in Cleveland. So, I'm putting it here because it is at literally the mouth of the Cuyahoga River into Lake Erie, or the created one. So you have now sort of a symbol here. You can spruce up this area, Whiskey Island, but I think the history there is it's at the mouth of the Cuyahoga, and I wanted it on the lake because I wanted to have sort of a stadium area. I kind of wanted it to be at Burke Lakefront, but I figured I actually have create a team NCAA series with Cleveland State, and I named it Burke Lakefront and said that I took over Burke Lakefront Airport and made that my stadium. But here I have it at Wendy Park, but it's going to be called Edgewater Park, and it's going to be at the mouth of the Cuyahoga River. And hopefully I set it to the max capacity, so it has room to grow. We can just build and build land out here. So anyway, this is going to be a bit of a longer first episode. Sorry about that. Something you know about me quickly. I tend to ramble, especially when I, just get the time to talk. I like to talk to myself. This is basically me talking to a computer. So it's basically the same thing. I'm just trying not to imagine that I'm talking to potentially thousands of people. Or for this episode, probably 2. So anyway. Now I would like to introduce you guys to the squad. And if these names look familiar, which they probably don't, this is the actual squad names and ages, actually, of the real Cleveland SC. So if you look them up online, I do have their Instagram. I could post it either in the description or on the screen here. This is the team. And I wanted to make this as, I wouldn't say realistic as possible, but I wanted to sort of, integrate real life into this. So that's what I wanted to do, the logo. I wanted to do Edgewater Park, and I wanted to make the actual team. So, with a couple of exceptions, and I will put their names up on the screen, sorry you guys, I can only create 30 players at once, and so these were the 30 that made the cut. But there were 33 of them, but these are the 30 here, and I will go through them, give a little bit of info on them, and again, sorry that this will probably be like a 30 to 40 minute episode. I know you guys only really like 10 to 20 minute ones. But I promise we'll get into some actual action later. But this is just sort of a meet the team, meet the club sort of scenario. So anyway, without further ado, here's Cleveland SC. So we start off with number 99, and probably our starting goalkeeper. We can't do double zeros in this game because, don't know why, but Mikhail Okalt's actual number is 00. Formerly of local St. Ignatius High School in Cleveland and a junior starting goalkeeper for the University of Pittsburgh. Mikhail hopefully will be our starting goalkeeper, but we do have someone else competing for the job. But as from what I saw from the Cleveland SC account, he was the starter. Mariho Musa, a goalkeeper that actually had a bit of attention as a youngster from the U17 men's national team. Actually got a call up there. He will most likely be the backup goalkeeper for us, but he does have the number 1 shirt. Formerly also of Pachuca FC out in Mexico, so he's got a bit of experience in other clubs, American and Bosnian in descent. Our first true international, and as you can see, the skin tone didn't really work in this because I definitely had him darker than both Mikhail and Mariho. But Rushoy Brown is a Jamaican international, or just, hasn't any caps, but is Jamaican, plays at CSU, Cleveland State, currently a sophomore, I believe, in the game. Started out in JUCO, he ended up going to Cleveland State. He was from a local Cleveland JUCO and made it. Now, Colleton Long has an interesting story. He actually played at the original NPSL team, AFC Cleveland, which was disbanded over the course of, after 6 years, I think, in the NPSL, and they won a title in 2016. He, along with someone else, Chris Vecco, I don't know how to say his name, but him and Colleton here had worked to get the investors and everyone back into Cleveland, so he is a mastermind behind this, and he's also a pretty decent defender, 6'2". I get the attributes. I don't really know exactly their attributes. I just sort of put attributes that would fit with this league. So I'm not sure how this works, but I mean, Colaton is definitely an influencer on this team. McGivern is actually another international, English, actually, from Huddersfield. He came over as he was a grad assistant. He went to Notre Dame College in Cleveland and also was an ASC player. International, one of 2 on the squad. Ian Larson, also a defender. He was from AFC Cleveland as well, but also goes to school at the University of Duquesne and is a defender there. Now, Kareem Banton is the second and final Jamaican international on the squad. Pretty, I would say, influential player. He started off actually in AFC Cleveland as an attacker and has moved to defense, so I assumed he would be like a winger / wing back. And it might fit into my system. I've been trying to do more of my formations kind of work like a 4-2-3-1, but I can do a 5-3-2. I want to try and do sort of like the England setup they have now. I kind of like that, like with wing backs and multiple center backs. But 4-2-3-1 with maybe push-up wing backs would work well. But Kareem, I think, works well in both areas. So the Jamaican, also from CSU as well. A lot of CSU players and a lot of local college players in this squad. So, yeah, Kareem Banton. And also along with them, Timmy Williams, another winger / attacker, formerly of Oberlin College, actually. I think he was an attacker as well, but moved back into the fullback position. So Chris Vecco, along with Colton Young, has brought the team back, or the Cleveland team back from the dead in a new form, but he will also be a wingback. I put him as a wingback on the left-hand side. He's kind of a wingback / midfielder. But yeah, he's a big influential part of the team. Dan Manilosh, and as you can tell, it seems like the skin tones were all switched because he's Canadian. The Canadian, and actually I think he's Romanian. He's naturalized in Romania. He was born in Romania, so naturalized there, and went to Canada for... he was moved to Canada shortly thereafter, where he plays... just finished his freshman year, actually. Lord help me, these guys are younger than I am. Some of these guys. At 18 currently in the game. He's just finished his freshman year at CSU this year in real life and is playing for them. I find it interesting, too. A lot of college teams going out to these semi-pro leagues and playing as amateurs. It's quite good. I like most other college things, they don't really work like that, but soccer is great that happens. I want to see that more often because I know that in other countries it's like when you're in high school or at high school age, you're going out and trying out for big clubs. So I'm wondering if, that could be more of a thing in America. Starting off in the midfield now, we have Boban Kankar, who is a former John Carroll athlete. Boban Kankar, he's playing more in the midfield, I see. He's playing more back as a holding midfielder. If I do more of a 4-1-2-3, which I've been known to do, he'd be a guy in there. Kotaro Umeda, a Japanese-born midfielder, who is currently at the University of Louisville. I do not know how he has connections to Cleveland, but I do know that he is it's pretty standard if he's going to go to Louisville to play soccer. So, a Japanese international, one of 6 internationals on the team. But he's the only Japanese-born one. I find that interesting, but I believe he's either a freshman or a sophomore at Louisville. Now here is the leader of this team, Admir Suljovic. He is a true Bosnian. Came over early on in his life. He had MLS attention at one point. If you Google his name, he actually has an article written about him as people scouted him for the MLS. Great intangible player from what I saw, and I think he is a born leader, and he's a born leader of this squad, and that's why he, in real life, has the number 10 shirt for Cleveland SC. So I like the number 10. Number 10 will always have a great leader influence, especially in soccer, but to me, it's always great as well. 10, 7, 9, 8, all have pretty good numbers for me. Yeah, 7 through 10 to me, and of course the number 1 for goalkeepers, but Olcats right now has his own numbers. But, yeah, Admir Suljovic. Now we come upon Riley Grant, who actually played on an MLS squad. Riley Grant actually played for the second team, or the reserve team, the youth team maybe, of Seattle Sounders. He played on the Seattle Sounders 2 squad. He was a former Akron transfer to Penn State. And Akron, many people don't know this, Akron, one of the largest, or one of the most known soccer schools in the country. So he was pretty good to be picked up by Akron. Probably one of the best. He's from Cleveland area. One of the best talented guys, or most talented and coveted guys, and he's on the wing. His attributes don't really state that right now, but he will definitely be gunning for the starting job on our squad. Number 23 too, big name in Cleveland, big number in Cleveland. It's probably a big one for me too. Kurt Rainey, just sort of a current college defender, kind of a CSU and Baldwin Wallace defender, pretty local to home. Just kind of a local presence. Gianluca DeFranco, American, don't know why. He has the most Italian name ever. But currently a CSU midfielder and went to Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, which is actually a close Cleveland high school. I've actually been there. He will most likely play in the midfield. I don't know if he'll start in the midfield, but he's definitely one that will be competing for that job. Mikey Derazic, played at CSU, ASC Cleveland. He was a presence in the team as well, one of the older guys. You can see a lot of these guys are either college age or they're like 25 to 27, and those are like the real leaders. So Derazic is one of those older guys. Daniel Koniarsic, Zik. Should be pretty good with last names, but Koniarsic. He was listed actually in a Midwest Pro Combine as a tough number 6, so I'm hoping that's what he is. Hopefully will be great in my midfield as a number 6. He wears the number 21, but he was formerly at CSU, and actually, according to his stats, played for FC Tucson. So I think he has some experience on the pro circuit. Jesse Marinaro was a unanimous All-American actually at John Carroll, so he's got some skill in his arsenal. Now Joey Schmidt is actually a high-touted recruit, 3 stars from the University of Indiana, and I believe he's finished his freshman year currently in real life. Didn't get a whole lot of playing time, but I mean, if you're going to like a bigger school like that to play soccer, you're gotta be pretty good. So I think he'll be a great guy on the wing. So Lewis Dunn actually was born in England as well, along with Declan McGivern, and he was from Ellesmere Port. Went to Urbana University. He came to Cleveland as a grad assistant for Lake Erie College, actually. So it's weird how a lot of these international players came to be in Cleveland. A lot of them are university guys, but Dunn actually came to be a grad assistant. It's kind of the most unique story on how a foreign player came to Cleveland. Hayden Parente, a local guy as well, St. Ignatius High School along with Oatkout, and currently plays at John Carroll. James Haupt, one of my main strikers probably, might be. He'll definitely be on the squad for striking. Formerly at the University of Dayton, and he spent 5 years there, had an injury his senior year that forced him to take a red shirt, but actually was a great performer out there in Dayton, and I think he's glad to be around here, out of college, but back on the pro circuit, taking the number 11 shirt. Ben Tro. He is a Mansfield native, also was at AFC Cleveland, and something I didn't know about him, something that popped up. And you can see 26 years old, actually is a financial analyst. So it's kind of like that kind of thing in England when you have those lower level clubs that these guys their real jobs aren't in football. So Ben Tro actually works as a financial analyst, and so he just does football on the side because he used to play it. So I mean, I think that's great. It's sort of a English or European vibe where people don't actually, or people start off working before they actually get a job in football. Matt Curran, the number 77 shirt. He just finished his junior year at Penn State. He's from Pennsylvania. I really got to check to see how he got to Cleveland as well. Maybe he got people from the team. Maybe Riley Grant brought him out here. But Matt Curran, from York, Pennsylvania. Tommy Beck, another one of the older guys on the squad, but a well-versed striker, 25 years of age, former manager and high school senior coach, Polish native, so I got to add that actually. But he's true American, but can be eligible for Poland. Played at Mount Union College. Justin Libertowski. Right now, currently, is a national striker and kind of a guy who will look to be potentially a bench player on the squad, but a young guy, one of the younger guys at 18. Antonio Manfoot, actually a bit of a cult hero in Cleveland SC. He started out as a player for the AFC Cleveland Royals and did really well there. He was a bit of a cult hero there, helped score the winning goal, I believe, and led them to a title in 2016. Big year for Cleveland that year. But where's the number 3 shirt for him? Weird as a striker, but this is America after all, so I will allow it. And finally, one of the most influential people in Cleveland SC today, and that is the 27-year-old Vinny Bell, who wears the number 9 shirt with pride. He will be probably our starting striker. He is quite the player, technical finisher, great leader, all that. So I think he is beneficial to the squad in so many ways. And I think he will be a great striker for us. So he is such a great hero on the team already that I think, I will work with him and he will be our starting striker. He'll be banging the goals. So anyway, that is the Cleveland SC squad. You can take a look a bit at the dynamics here. We got a room to go. We got a bit of room to go. Abysmal match cohesion. Average atmosphere, average support. Not great. Hierarchy. I mean, you got some pretty good guys up there. Actually, Bell, Larson, and Beck are up there. Surprised guys like Sulkovic aren't up there. But, yeah, sooner or later we're going to get this team going. But the tactics I like to use, actually, I have a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-1-2-3 listed here. But one that I have that can definitely be of use is the 5-3-2 in some form or fashion, also known as England 2018. So with wingbacks or guys that can actually play in the attacking roles, I mean, you look at guys like Kareem Banton, who can play both sides, and actually has really good mentals, but good pace as well. Kareem Banton on one side. On the other side, I actually have Chris Vecco as well, but Dan Manilovic as well. Or Riley Grant can actually play sort of at wing back. I wouldn't mind moving him back to wing back and having him play there, but I like that, and just put 2 strikers up top, because I think we have enough strikers to put 2 up top, but this tactic can work. And the 4-2-3-1 can also work. I like that. I have a lot of guys who can play in this. I think a bunch of my strikers can play in the attacking midfield role too, so that's good. Right now, my team instructions are retain possession. I like the tiki-taka style that Guardiola uses. I think that's great. I think it's a great influence of the game. However, if I were to go to the counterattack, I would absolutely switch to a direct. I think that works so well in counterattack. Like, to me, counterattack, it doesn't work if you use retain possession, but I like to play an attacking style initially, so putting the pressure on and retaining. Also, yeah, prevent short goalkeeper distribution. That also helps the attacking influence. Higher tempo, definitely at least higher. I could want to go much higher, but I think stamina might not be the best thing. Something I also like, be more expressive. Especially in a team such as ours, I think we don't need a disciplined formation. I think especially with a team with wingbacks and guys who can play multiple positions, you can play up and you don't have to play to your specific role all the time. So I'm thinking be more expressive. I want this team to be a fluid sort of system that can play the beautiful game. So I'm just going to stop here. I think it's a lot of information. So to all probably 2 of you out there who watch this, thank you so much. I pray that you will come back to another one. Sorry that this was really long, but I will try and get a second one out shortly. Going through the tactics, working on the behind the scenes mechanics, and we'll get that through. And then I suppose then, yeah, by episode 3 we'll have a game. So episode 2 will definitely be tactics, maybe getting through some squad guys, getting some scouts, doing all that kind of stuff, finding players. But right now, I think it is good to stop here. So thank you so much, and good morning, afternoon, evening, and night to you all. So long.